all you street shooters out there, you're probably guilty of buying an expensive camera and then loading it up with accessories, a grip, a thumbs up, a silly brass lens hood, or a pricey camera strap. But how many of us are actually adding something that truly improves our images? Not that many, I'd guess. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, over the last couple of months, I've been seeing more and more of these mini flashes popping up. And honestly, at first, they felt like a bit of a gimmick. But then Zenico reached out and asked if I'd like to try out their tiny flashes that they released a few months ago. I figured, why not? I'll give them a shot and see if they actually hold up in my typical street photography workflow. Spoiler alert, no, they are not going to replace my trusty Godox V350 that I've been using since last year. And I've got a few solid reasons for it. So what to expect from this video? I've been testing out both Zenico mini flashes over the last couple of weeks. And in this video, I'll walk you through whether these little flashes are actually useful, if they are worth picking up, or if you're better off just going with a full-sized flash instead. Also, there's a bit of a twist when it comes to which one of these I ended up liking more. Definitely not what I expected, but I'll get to that a bit later on. So let's see what you can actually do with one of these miniature flashes. I took both out on the streets of Bangkok. For the first two shots here, I used power setting 3. As you can see, the flash is barely visible in the images. There seems to be an issue with the first 3 settings when using the Leica Q3, but more on that later. Here I switched to level 4, used zone focusing, closed down the aperture and raised the ISO to compensate. The shutter speed was set to auto. As you can see now, the flash is clearly visible and more than sufficient. Outside, I kept shooting with the same settings and they worked very well. Inside again, I came across this guy having a nap. Or at least that's what I thought. It was a rather gloomy day, but even at power level 4, the flash proved to be very usable. Since I haven't done it yet, let me quickly give you the specs according to the Zenico website. Just pause the video if you want to compare them in more detail. Now, to get a sense of the power output, I did a quick test using my light meter. I set it about 60 centimeters away from the camera body, which is roughly 2 feet. The camera was set to ISO 100, f4 and 1/125th. With these settings, the lowest flash power on the ZF-08 is almost useless. Setting 2 on the flash gives you almost 2 stops more power. Setting 3 is about 1 2/3 stops brighter than that. Setting 4 adds roughly another stop. And last but not least, the highest power setting 5 is about 1 stop brighter on top of that. The smaller of the 2 flashes, the ZF-04, would require an aperture of f2.8 or ISO 200 to be effective. At its second power setting, it delivers around 1.5 stops more light. And yes, to no surprise, within close range, let's say up to 1 meter, these flashes actually put out a pretty usable amount of power. Alright, here's what I liked about these small flashes. First of all, they are super small and easily fit in any camera bag or even a pocket. They weigh basically nothing and they can sort of turn your camera into a compact point and shoot camera, especially on something like a Q3, a Ricoh GR or maybe a Fuji X100. The built-in battery lasts long enough for casual use and can be recharged with a simple power bank. Depending on your camera system, the power is totally adequate for most scenarios. And also they're pretty inexpensive, and in some tricky lighting conditions, they can actually enhance your photos in a meaningful way. Now, I also tested the ZF-04 in Bangkok at night. For these shots, I set the camera to ISO 100, f1.7 and I let the camera choose the shutter speed. I used continuous autofocus with a single focus field and no face detection. The flash was set to the lowest power setting, which turned out to be more than enough.
Ist gut? Ja, wie?
But of course, there are definitely some trade-offs. You can only use them on camera, which gives you that very typical on-camera flash look. And if you like that, it's alright. If you don't, yeah, these are not for you. If your camera has a max flash sync speed of 1/50th or slower, they might not even have enough power to cut through a bright daylight. They are only really effective at close range, and forget about lighting subjects that are a little bit further away because that's not going to work. Because the flash sits low on the camera, your lens or lens hood might cast a shadow. On the Leica Q3 for instance, the original lens hood is fine, but the ventilated one doesn't really work because it will cast a shadow, so not ideal. By the way, if you want to learn more about using flash for street photography, check out my ultimate guide to flash in street photography video course. That will give you everything you need to know to getting started using flash or refine your skills for the best possible street shots using flash. You will find the link in the video description. So who are these flashes for? If you rarely use flash and you just want something small to toss in your bag just in case, this could be perfect. If you're unsure about using flash and you just want to experiment, this is also a very low risk entry point. Or if you need a backup for your main flash in case it breaks, this could also be a good option. But of course, these are not for everyone, especially if you're serious about using flash and you want to use it as your primary light source. These are obviously not for you. And also, if you need more power for bigger or more demanding shoots, yeah, not for you. And also, if you want to shoot your flash off camera, these also don't cut it. If you shoot a lot of flash and you need fast recycle times, forget about these. I think you're way better off with something like this Godox here. And also, if you're using long lenses, your subjects will probably be too far for these flashes to be effective. So these are not for you. So while I was using these, I was thinking about how you could improve them. And I think I came up with a few things I would like to see improved on these that would make them probably more useful. First of all, it would be nice if the flash head would be rotatable. So if the flash is on camera, so you can rotate it and maybe point the flash in a little bit different direction. That would be awesome. And then also what I think would be really cool actually would be if there's also a hot shoe on top, so you can stack them on top of each other. So maybe 2 or maybe even 3, and then you have a bigger light source and way more power. So this would be actually pretty cool. So you can have 3 of these, very inexpensive, stack them on top of each other, have more power. And yeah, Zenico, if you're watching this video, maybe consider this. I think this would be pretty sick. Now in the beginning I told you that I liked one of these more, and which one now is the one that I would choose. Honestly, I didn't even want to try the smaller one at first since it has less power. But after using both, I'd actually pick the smaller one, and there's a reason for it. First of all, it's more compact and super easy to use. It only has 2 power settings, which makes it quick and intuitive. The bigger one, the ZF-08, has 5 power stages in total, and honestly, cycling through these can feel a little clunky. Also, those 2 power settings on the ZF-04 are roughly equivalent to the settings 3 and 4 on the ZF-08. So you're only missing 1 stop of maximum power, and the 2 weakest settings that are not really that useful anyway. With my Q3, the ZF-04 worked just fine. That's why I would go with the smaller one if I had to pick one. Oh, and I did run into a weird issue. When using the ZF-08 at power level 1 or 2, the flash would fire, but it wouldn't show up in the images. Probably a sync issue. I tested it with my Lumix S5 II, and that problem wasn't there. Still, it didn't really bother me because those low power settings are super weak anyway, and if you need less power, just drop your ISO or stop down your aperture. So what's my final verdict? If you're looking for a small budget-friendly flash for street photography or everyday photography and you don't need a ton of power, these mini flashes from Zenico could definitely be worth considering. But just be warned, once you start using flash, it's kind of hard to go back, to be honest. Oh, and by the way, next week I'll be kicking off a new season of street photography videos that I've filmed over the last few months during my travels. It's going to be pretty wild, and honestly I can't wait to finally share these with you. But before that, YouTube thinks that you should watch this video here next. Enjoy, and I see you in the next one. Until then, auf Wiedersehen.